Kara, thanks for joining us today. We've got a really great live discussion for you guys. It is our sound business practices and professionalism, and we have an awesome panel. But before we get started, I must put up a disclaimer.
Uh-oh.
We must start the disclaimer. So, this roundtable discussion is not intended as legal advice or a substitute for a formal consultation with a licensed attorney. Laws and regulations regarding the operation of a food-based business vary from state to state. We highly recommend you contact the government agency responsible for licensing and regulating businesses in your state before moving forward in the information or operation of a business. So, throwing that up there, just so we clear ourselves, we are all in the business of cakes. We are all making money, making a profit doing cakes, and we're just here to share our knowledge with you guys. Just if you're joining us now, there is a question and answer box for you to type in a question. If you're looking at the YouTube page, you may need to refresh your page. There will be a box that says click here and join the conversation. You click that box, it'll pull you into a different room where you'll be able to type in a question and we will answer it. So please type in your questions live, get them in now. So let's move on because, oh my gosh, we have so much to talk to you guys about, and my lovely panel is so excited to be here today. I'm going to introduce them all. We're going to start with Shannon Bond of Shannon Bond Cake Design. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, guys.
Shannon, tell us where you are, and I'm going to show them some lovely pictures while you talk. Tell us how you got started and where you are. We'd love to hear a little bit.
I am in Olathe, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City. I started making cakes for my kids, like a lot of people, and really fell in love with it about 3 years ago. Went into business about 1.5 years, so I'm still technically a newbie in the business section. So, but I love it. It's fun.
Shannon, we're looking at some of your pictures of your cakes right now, and girl, child, honey, child, I just love me some Shannon Bond. Love you. They're gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
You do very lovely high-end work, and I just appreciate looking at your gallery. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shannon. And we're going to move on to Kristin Kirkpatrick of Fat Girl Cakes. Tell us, hi, Kristin. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us where you, hold on, let me get out of this screen share for a second so we can see you.
You can pretend that those are my cakes too. It's okay.
Okay, Kristin, so tell us about you, how you got started, and where are you located?
I'm in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is about an hour south of Washington, D.C. I started 6 years ago, and the reason I started was I had an IT job. I worked IT for 10 years, designing software, and I loved it, but unfortunately the job required me to travel pretty much, and after having my first son, I had to rethink that. My husband also travels sometimes for work, so I thought I would give this a shot. Definitely not an artist at heart, but I felt like being my own boss would probably be more flexible than continuing in the IT field. Here I am.
Gorgeous. Awesome. We're taking a look at some of your work. Again, amazing work. Beautiful, absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Thank you for joining us, Kristin. We're going to move on to Jennifer England of La Bella Torta. So tell us, thank you for joining us, Jennifer. Tell us about you and where you are, and I'm going to show them your work while you talk.
I am in the Lynchburg, Virginia area, not too terribly far from Kristin, a few hours. And I began 6.5 years ago. I'd always baked, but a friend of mine, her her oldest daughter was getting married, and she said, "Do you think that you could make her wedding cake?" And I said, "Sure. How hard could it be?" Famous last words. But and so, you know, the bug bit, and I just really loved it. And so we were a part of a large home church community, and I started making everyone's birthday cakes, not because they asked, but because I just couldn't stop. So I became legal because I couldn't afford my hobby anymore, and I needed people to be able to pay me for ingredients at least, but it just took off from there, and I love it. I make lots and lots of wedding cakes predominantly, but sculpted cakes as well.
Well, gorgeous. Hello with the dragon. Hello with that dragon.
Right?
I need an amen on that dragon.
That dragon is hot.
Yeah. I loved the dragon.
Thanks, Jennifer, for being here. We're definitely going to pick your brain. Okay, Jay. We got Jay Qualls of Willow Tree in the house.
Hey.
I'm going to find you, Jay, while you talk. Tell us about you. Well, give me your website so I can throw it up here.
jqualls.com.
And so tell us where you are and how you got started.
I'm just south of Nashville, Tennessee, in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I did my daughter's first birthday cake on April the 25th, 1992. So she'll be 24 this year.
Oh my
and,
God.
One thing just led to the other. I fell in love, much like you guys did. I fell in love with the art of the cake, and people just started asking me to do it from here and there. And I did it for a hobby from home for a really long time, and for a very long time. And in 2004, I was in corporate healthcare, making really good money, a six-figure salary. Got laid off or downsized when two hospitals merged, and pretty much was just devastated by that. So I said at that point, I was like, okay, what am I going to do now at 35 years old? And I said, I want to take control of my life, and I don't want anyone else to have that capacity over me to say, thank you, but we don't need you anymore for no good reason. And I thought, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail on my own. So I opened Maple's Wedding Cakes here in Murfreesboro in 2005, in January 2005. Fortunately for me, I was in the business sector. I had a degree in business and marketing before I opened my company, so I really did understand the business aspects of it, and I wasn't just the artist part. The art came for me secondly over the years, but it came secondly for me by just trial and error, honestly. When I first opened, I mortgaged my house, I took my retirement, I put everything I had in.
Oh, Jay.
I know. But you know what? It forced me to be successful because I took a risk. And
can you hold that thought, because we're going to come and pick your brain about all of that in a minute. I want to get to Jamie Hoffman.
Yes.
And then we're going to get right into the program. So, Jamie Hoffman, thank you for joining us from Yuma Couture Cakes.
Hello.
Tell us about yourself, Jamie, as I pull up your site here.
Well, custom cake decorator in the southwest corner of Arizona, little bitty town called Yuma. Been going about 10 years now, I think, on the decorated side. I've been baking and messing around with stuff like that for a long time. But what you see here in the pictures, this is about 10 years worth of work.
It's beautiful.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. And I'm going to quickly just show you guys me. I'm Sith by Kara. I am in Los Angeles, California, and I have been decorating cakes now for going on 4 years. I've been in business for about 3, but I'll say I've actually been making money doing business for the last 2. So I'm on my way, so that's a good thing. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today for this panel. We got a lot to talk about, so we're going to dive right in, and we're going to try to go in order of how we all start from a hobby, and then we want to move into a business. So our first topic of conversation, which is going to be led by our Kristin Kirkpatrick, is going to be Kristin, when is the time when we take our hobby and we decide when we should then turn it into a business, or when we should just stay a hobby? Can you talk about that?
Sure. I think some of the stuff I'm going to talk about is going to be detailed by some of the later topics. But the first thing I did when I decided I wanted to maybe try this was start looking around if I could do it. I didn't want to mortgage my house. I didn't want to go into debt. So for me, I wanted to see if I could do it as a home-based business. So that was kind of my first step. I had to do some research and figure out what my county, my locality, all that stuff allowed for and what it didn't allow for. So for me, that was my first step. My degree's in math. I design software, so I kind of think of things very logically. So for me, it was like, if I can't do it, legally, then I need to stop. So that was kind of my first thing, and I would recommend that to everybody. The next thing would kind of be to see if your area can support it financially. Custom cakes aren't something that everyone can afford and no one needs. So just make sure that your area can support it. If it's oversaturated with 900 home bakers and 4 shops, then there's really no need for you to go throw yourself in. Keep it as a hobby. And then beyond that, I guess I would say obviously look at your skills. I don't think you need to be as amazing as some of the cakes in magazines, but you definitely need to have the basics down. They need to be clean. You need to be able to ice a cake in buttercream. You need to be able to cover a cake in fondant pretty flawlessly. All the stacking, all that kind of stuff. You need to have that down. Practice on your family, practice on your friends. You have to have a good set of recipes as well. I don't know how many times I've been on various boards where people are, I just took an order for German chocolate cake, and I don't make German chocolate cake. Well, why did you take that order? So have your good set of recipes. You can always expand. You can always expand your recipes, but make sure you have the basics and make sure those are good and solid. I don't know how many times I've just sold vanilla, chocolate, yellow, I call it butter, but cakes. A lot of people aren't into the fancy flavors, most of the time. The next thing, I guess, I have little notes here, so that's why I keep looking to the side. Is, are you ready for the commitment? It's taking it from a hobby to a business. You have to be committed to it. You have to spend time researching, answering emails, updating your website, filing taxes, all that kind of stuff. It's not just as easy as a 9-to-5 job, as far as I'm concerned.
It's not even close to easy as a 9 to. I'll take a 9-to-5 any day.
I would second that, Jay. There's the weekend commitments, there's the evening commitments, there's the tastings, all that kind of stuff that I know I did not think about when I started my business. There's the soccer game you might have to miss because you have to go deliver a wedding cake an hour away. Your kids might not be able to be as active if you're the parent that drives them to all their practices and so forth. Yes, you can figure out how to fit them in probably, but not always. So just be prepared for that. And remember, you will be running a business. You're not trying to make friends here. So you don't you don't want to be rude, obviously, to people, but
that don't hurt either.
But you need to take it seriously, and you need to follow through with whatever policies you come up with. I mean, there's always situations that may cause you to bend that, but you do need to be okay with pissing people off. I guess that's the basic thing.
Can I interject here really quick on that very topic? There's a philosophy here in America that I think is so screwed up about the customer always being right. Listen, the customer is not always right. If that was the case, we would not have doctors, lawyers, bakers, cake decorators, all those things, because there's experts out there who are right, and they come to you because you're an expert or you're good at your skill, and the customer does not always know what's best. And for those of you who are about to step into this industry and you're going to go from...
Turn your YouTube off.
Huh?
Turn your YouTube off.
Your YouTube channel on, because we're getting feedback from you somehow.
Oh, wait. I don't know how to do that, but okay.
Just close it all together.
I don't have YouTube up.
Don't close our window, though.
No, I don't have anything up but you.
Okay, well, don't worry about it.
So the point I was going to make really quick was, is that better? The point I was going to make was, if you're about to go into this and you are, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. But don't, like, it's okay not to make your customers angry, but sometimes when they come to you, I tell them, like, you cannot tie one hand behind my back and cover one eye and expect me to be successful. Basically, I'm going to give you anything you want because you can dream it and I can do it. You're going to set yourself up for failure. So what she was saying about keeping, what Kristin was saying about keeping your customer, educating the consumer, I think is probably the most important thing. And don't oversell yourself by allowing your customer to make you promise something that's going to basically paralyze you or create failure. Because they'll try you.
Well, I think what we're all talking about here, what Kristin was saying is, before you start a business, be ready for this. Be ready. You, like, people, they love my husband's cooking. You guys should open up a restaurant. I'm like, oh no, because then when people are paying for it, it become a whole nother beast, and then the love gets drained from you. And I think, Kristin, you were telling me too, which is why I really wanted you to talk about this point, is in the beginning you were in it for the sort of the passion of cakes, and it was fun, and then after a couple of years, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, you know, I did want to be that creative person, and that to get all of their cakes in magazines and so forth. I guess I wanted to explore a creative side versus, you know, kind of doing more of the technical work. But as time went on, I just realized that, I guess for me in my area, I felt like a lot of people wanted very simple cakes, very basic cakes. And I kind of just got over it. You know, I kind of said, I'm supposed to be serving the customer on some level. So if they want the 5th, you know, rustic cake that I've made this month, and they're going to pay me the same amount as they would to make some fancy cake that I've never done before, I am more than happy to take that order. You know, I've kind of gotten over the whole repeating designs or doing something unique or different. Not that I still don't want to do that, because I do, but I guess I kind of want to do it more on my own terms, where I can truly be creative versus saying, well, I really want it to be rustic, but I don't want it to be too rustic, and to me that means nothing. You know, I don't have that artist brain. I can't extrapolate stuff out. I'm a very concrete person. If somebody comes to me with a dress, an invite, I can definitely do something with that. But when they start using simple, traditional, rustic, to me that means nothing. So I guess I just got over it and just said, you know, I'm here to make some money for my family, and if they want me to do a cake that I've done 7 times before, I will gladly go ahead and do that for them. So yeah,
it's a business. It's a business now. It's
I mean, that was the official time, I guess. Even though I was a legal business from the very beginning, because that was something that scared me. I worried about an inspector showing up at my door, the tax department billing me, or something like that, because I did work at the tax department, so that might have been the reason. But you know, that was kind of my first thing, and then I decided I was going to be an actual business versus just being one on paper. But I guess the last part that kind of leads into it that I was going to talk was, you know, before you become a business, do you want to make money? Because if you want to make people happy with your cakes, then continue to donate them. Make them for your kids, make them for your neighbors. You know, there's always a nursing home in the area or a school bake sale or something that you can always create wonderful things and donate them and do it that way. You know, you want to make this worth your while. You don't want to, you know, end up working 20 hours on a cake and end up with $50, because that's not worth your while, as far as I'm concerned. Much like Jay, I worked in IT and, you know, brought home quite a nice salary doing that. So for me, if I want to make $10 an hour, I'll go work at Hobby Lobby. Sorry, I'm not going to do everything that I do, you know, and bring home pennies. So.
Amen. Does anybody else want to jump in real quickly on just this topic of deciding when to take your hobby to a business? Does anyone else want to, and be quick about it because we want to move on to the other subjects, which will all, you know, it's all encompassing. So anyone else have anything you want to add to this? Jennifer?
I have one quick thing that I want people to really, I want to elaborate on what Kristin said about, you know, don't romanticize the idea of owning a beautiful shop and your display cakes and working in your kitchen in a commercial facility with all of the equipment that you've dreamed of for so long, do not romanticize that notion when you go into, I don't know why we're getting feedback. I've got it turned completely down.
Well, there's something, but let me pause you, Jay, because this is going to be a problem if we keep going. Is there someone else in the room with you that is watching us live?
Nope.
Okay, if everybody can take a minute to make sure that you don't have the YouTube up, because there's a delay, and then we'll hear it. That's why we're getting such feedback. So if you can just check on that, because otherwise it's going to be, I don't know, or it might just be Jay. So when you're talking...
It was Kristen, too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything else open.
Yeah, I don't either. And I think it's the echo in the room feeding through the microphone is what I think it is.
So Kristen, can you? Well, no, it's you. So, all right. Well, let's keep going. Well, hopefully we'll figure it out.
Just, I'm gonna find my headphones in a second and try that to where there's no sound coming in except through a microphone in my headphones. But
okay.
Really quick, I just wanted to make sure that people realize not to romanticize the idea of working in a commercial shop, and because you're really quick, you're gonna get the hell slapped out of you on the first 5 weekends of wedding season when you have not only one gigantic wedding cake but 3, and you are up 20 hours minimum to get everything finished, and then the stress of throwing all of them in the back of your delivery van if you're lucky, or a car or whatever, and you are going to, the reality is going to hit you very quickly. So I think that was what, for me, I romanticized of owning a deli and a bakery, which I had for the first 2 years. And I learned I was filling that case every single night. I was working, I would sleep in my office to get up and go bake crap again and put in the case just for it to be gone again, which is a good thing. But if you aren't set up to do retail bakery, and there's a whole different kitchen for production bakery that sells retail, aside from doing a custom cake shop. Your custom cake shop and a custom retail bakery is very different. It's a very different kitchen. And you need to know that before. Don't go in there thinking you're going to sell cupcakes and cookies and cake pops and do custom cakes. Your kitchen has to be set up very specifically for that in order to accommodate that. And you really need 2 layers of staff to do that too.
Yeah.
You don't need to have your
I have to stop you because we want to move on. We're actually going to move on to you. And please, Jay, I know you have like a lot to say about this topic of pricing. So
kinda.
If you could sum it up in 5 minutes as to what, if now you have decided you're going to take your hobby and you're going to turn this into a business, whether that be a business out of your home or a business in a storefront, bakery, what have you. Before you open shop, you need to learn how to price. Jay, can you give us some information on how to go about pricing and what we should be doing or thinking about when we come to determining our prices?
Well, I've never done anything in 5 minutes, so.
Well, I'm gonna beg you to try.
I'm going to do my best, and I ask for your tolerance and forgiveness early on anything from this point forward ever. So, especially talking. So this is the key here. There is not a single corporation that has been successful, and we'll use BMW as the example. BMW knows exactly how much it costs to build a unit. They know their facility, they know their parts, they know their contracted labor, they know their everything. They know everything prior to building it. If you are going to do this, if you're going to choose this as your profession, it will serve you well. It's not just the cost of goods that you have to figure when you go into business. You need to know your fixed costs, your variable expenses, your variable labor. Like there's fixed and there's variable costs. You need to know this. There's people who have degrees in finance and hospitality to be able to run exactly these kinds of businesses. There are people that are professional, that are trained. Don't think that you can step into a shop and not do your due diligence in order to be able to be successful. If you don't know how to figure, like for example, let's take rent. If you rent a space and if you're lucky enough to get it for $1,000 a month, and then it's not just that rent has to be divided out over a 30-day period and then divided by 7, and then that's one piece. That's a fixed expense. Then your variable, your utilities has to be done the same thing. Then at first you're going to project these items, and then secondly, then you're going, after 6 months of collecting data, you're going to be able to use a formula that's a cost accounting formula that you're going to apply to every one of your ingredients, your cost of goods. People think that if they just go and spend, if they charge $100 for a cake and they go to Walmart or wherever and they buy their cost of goods, they're not including their pans, they're not depreciating their equipment, they're not including their overhead and their rent and their fixed expenses and their variable expenses, they're not including the labor. They never pay themselves. That makes me madder than anything as artists in this industry, is people do not account for labor in this industry. You do not value yourself enough to think that what you're doing is important, that you get paid at least $12 an hour if you're any good of a decorator at all. And that is simply not true.
Jay, can you tell us, I mean, yes, people are out there doing selling cakes for $50, and it is ridiculous. I don't know if we're actually going to reach those people, but those that really want to make this an actual business, can you just give us a rundown of all the things, and you can be general, you don't have to be specific. If you can just give a rundown of, you got to think about your cake board, your icing, your butter, your sugar. You can do that.
I can. So like just recently, and it's going to come out soon on a cake conference on one of my Cake Crumb chats, I did the cost accounting for a 9-inch round birthday cake that's buttercream, 2 cakes, not even split and filled, just 2 cakes stacked, 3 roses, 2 colors, shell borders around the top, shell borders around the bottom, a board, and a box. And I took around the country, I went to Walmart.com and I put in locations around the country because everybody has access to Walmart. Everyone has access to CK products. Everyone has access to File and Holig. Everyone has access to like Sweetwise.com. So I tried to make it very, very general so that everybody could apply this formula. I did a spreadsheet on a 9-inch round birthday cake with happy birthday, 3 roses, 2 colors, shell borders on top and bottom. Guess what the cost accounting was? The legitimate cost accounting was to produce that cake at $10 an hour with 3 hours of labor, and that's collecting the goods, baking, making your frosting, icing, and decorating that cake. 3 hours is, if that's legit. Would you guys agree? 3 hours to do all that? All right. Legitimately, it was $70 to produce a 9-inch round birthday cake. $70. And that's you making $30 off of it in labor. All right? Most people that I've surveyed are charging $45 to $60 for that cake. Guess what? You paid your customer $10 to take your work out the door. And most of you are delivering it for free. Are you kidding me? Nope. That is happening all over this country, and as long as I will die preaching to fix this.
All right, preacher.
Well, look, if you're going to do this, stay out of my way, and so that I don't have to compete with you. If you're going to act and do business that way, get out of my way, because I'm not going to compete with you. I'm going to put you down is what's going to happen.
So, Jay, what I heard you say is before we go and start selling our cakes, we need to price them. There are many great softwares out there that you can actually buy. CakeBoss.com has a great one. It's $150. You can sit and you can input everything down to the salt and the drops of gel color you use in your cake.
By the
you
way,
have to do the work. Everyone, please do the work. If you do not sit down with a software either you purchase or if you know, like maybe Kristin knows how to do a spreadsheet, If you don't know how to do that,
Yeah.
buy software. It's the best investment ever.
Kara, and you don't even have to expend it a lot. Everybody has access to an Excel version, okay? And you all have access to a piece of paper and a pencil and a calculator, okay? It's literally that simple, and it's seriously, it's probably the most important facet of setting up your company. And I'll use myself as an example. I did all the work, but let me tell you what my epiphany was. I was buying McCormick strawberry extract at Walmart because it was easy, it was accessible, we just grabbed it guess what I was spending per gallon on a 2-ounce bottle? $185 a gallon on strawberry extract. We did it for 2 years. I didn't even know. I didn't even realize because it was, you understand? Like, it gave me a paycheck. When I audited myself, I started drawing $1,200 a month out of my company. Well, think about that. All because I paid attention, I did the homework, I literally divided out, as Kara was saying, how much gel was in a 2-ounce Americolor. How many drops is in a typical piping bag that you would use to color buttercream, okay? How many could I get usage out of that? I would divide that over the number of times I could use that gel color, and that cost, whatever that cost was, I divided that cost by those number of uses. Guess what? That's how much you put into a unit. It sounds ridiculous, it sounds redundant, and it sounds very, very time-consuming, but it absolutely is imperative that you do it at least once or twice a year.
But if you don't do this work, ladies and gentlemen out there in cake world, if you do not do the work, W-O-R-K, you will be cheating not only yourself, but your family. Yeah. If you are deciding to take this to a business level, you must do the work. And
that's the difference between a business and a hobby.
May I interject for a moment? I actually had an epiphany the first time I ever did my taxes. I was legal right from the beginning just because I'm neurotic that way. So first year, did my taxes, and I literally sat at my dining room table and cried and apologized to my husband that I had worked so long, so hard, and I had literally paid to work. I had made no money. And so at that moment, I sat down and I said, every moment, every minute, every hour that I spend making a cake is an hour I'm a homeschooling mother. It's an hour I'm not schooling my children. It's an hour I am not spending time with my children. It's an hour I'm not cooking for my family. It's an hour I'm not spending with my husband. Those things have value. It's an hour you're not doing something else, and it has value. You have value. Your art has value. And I actually, this is not specific to our industry. Artists shortchange themselves all the time. My father was a sculptor. Oh, I'm sorry. My father was a sculptor, and he used to say the same thing. You know, it was very difficult for him as well when people they'd start selling their art in areas where he was selling his sculptures, and they would undercut because they wanted to get in there. Nobody understands that you're hurting yourself, you're hurting the person next to you, but you know, how much you're spending on takeout because you haven't had the time to cook a meal. How many of us go an entire day of decorating without eating because we forget? You know, that all, it has value.
And if you're not getting, paid for that, for your time away from your family, then what are you doing it for? I know, Shannon, you were saying, I remember you said something about you don't even feed your kids. The poor kids are eating like cereal on your busiest cake day. So I wanted to ask you though, Shannon, what is the minimum wage in your area? And you're in Olathe, Kansas.
I believe minimum wage is $10. I don't know for sure, but I believe it's at least $10, if not higher than that now. And you
federal minimum wage is $7.50.
Shannon, are you paying yourself minimum wage, or are you paying yourself? What are you paying yourself, if you don't mind me asking?
I pay myself $30 an hour when I decorate. Basic stuff. And you have to look at what you are providing and what you can provide and where your skill level's at, and determine what your hourly wage is. But what's the point of paying yourself minimum wage and working a job that has the worst hours I've ever had, and it leaves me physically exhausted so that I am like out on the couch when the last delivery is done, and I can't play with my kid or go outside and shoot baskets. There's piles of laundry, you know, and what's the point of paying myself minimum wage to do the same thing that I could do? You know, I could go to Walmart and get a job and have better benefits than I could doing cake. And so you really have to look at it and say, well, I love it. It's something that really ignites my passion. I understand that, but that's when you have to decide, do I want to keep it as a hobby, or do I want to actually have a business? And if you love it and you really don't like the business side of it, there's no reason you have to go into business. Just because
work for me
tell you to go into business does not mean that you have to go into business.
So someone just said state minimum wage in Kansas is $7.25. If that is enough for you to live off of, then that's what you should pay yourself. I don't think it is in any state where you live in. $7.25, putting in those type of hours is enough. So you have to think about your skill level, and you have to, but here I say, and I'm sure my panel will agree with me, if you're not paying yourself minimum wage, then you need to quit and go work at McDonald's.
Well,
I've got something to add.
It goes further. It goes further than the labor. It goes further than that as far as pricing goes.
Yes, it does, Jay. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go into everything, but what I think we all want to get across today is that if you don't sit down and literally account for the drop from the big bag of flour and the beautiful display board to the drop of gel colors to how much your insurances and your taxes and permits cost and your craftsy classes, if you're not accounting for that into your business, into your pricing, then you are not business.
And just the last thing I want to say about it is,
then we have to move on.
I know. The last thing I want to say about it, though, is, Kara, these people that are baking from home and that are making money, it's what I was saying to you the other night. This is not a hobby if you are selling cake and you're putting the money in your purse, and your kids need lunch money and you're handing it back out to them, or they're going to the movie, or you're buying shoes, or you're buying food or groceries with that money. That is not a hobby. That is a job. When you can go and take the money that you're spending on your cake and putting it in your purse, and then it's being your mad money forever, and you're not paying the light bill, the water bill, or any kind, or buying groceries, then it's a hobby. But when it goes back into your household and you're feeding your family with it, that's not a hobby. I'm using that as your basis for the cottage law bakers. It's not a hobby at that point. If it's funding your home or your family in some way, and you're taking away from your family, that it's really a job. Whether you want to call it a hobby or not, it's not.
And okay, now we really do have to move on because this is going long. We should have really just had a whole hour on just pricing, but we have to move on. Maybe we'll get Jay.
Just give it an hour for Jay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jamie.
Okay, so we have to move on now to so you've decided you're going into business. You now know how to price your cakes. You have included the drop of gel color in all of your products. Now, what do you do next? Jennifer England is going to talk to us about now how do you legally set up your business with licenses, permits, and insurances.
Okay, so I'm going to start by saying that every state is very, very different. Some states do not even allow cottage food, and I feel bad for those states. I used to live in one. I used to live in New Jersey. So you need to check with your local governing bodies to see what the regulations are in your state. License and permits vary greatly, not only state to state, but even within a state. I used to live in a different county in Virginia. In that county, I needed a business license. I am in a different county now. I don't need a business license. Kind of freaked me out when I first moved here. I went down to the county seat, and they were like, no, we don't issue licenses. But in Virginia, It's the Department of Agriculture that that regulates food-based businesses out of a home. And so the process can be long and it can be tedious, but it's worth it. I mean, when I first started, I did all of my cakes for free. Because I wanted to learn, and I really loved it. But people started asking me if they could pay me. Can they just cover my ingredients? Because I would say, I really can't. I just don't have the extra this week. And so they would say, well, we'll pay you for ingredients, but that is technically illegal. And so I just couldn't do it. And so my husband and I sat down and we said, okay, you know, how much is it going to cost for me to get legal, just so I can at least take money for ingredients? It wasn't that expensive. It was definitely time-consuming and a little bit intimidating, but it was completely worth it. You know, the Department of Agriculture was very, very agreeable. They walked me through the process of reformatting my recipes so they could be approved, creating labels, and all of the things that I needed to do to prepare my kitchen and my home to be legal for a home business. The inspector comes, and I was a shaking, horrible, nervous mess that first day that my inspector came, and he walked in and he said, honey, I just need you to relax. It's all okay. You know, they're used to that. But they're generally very nice and really accommodating. In Virginia, they take a sample of your cake and they send it to a lab to test for filth. I kid you not. And so the inspector actually said to me, there's going to be a certain amount of hair and bug parts and lint that we can find in it, and you'll still be able to sell cake. I said, sweetheart, you need to tell me if anything is in my cake, and I will take myself out of business because that's disgusting. But obviously, it was all but sterile, my cake, because I am the captain of Team OCD. So, so anyway, so why do you want to get licensed, insured, permitted when you could fly under the radar? I know a lot of people who fly under the radar. But here's the deal, okay? The house we used to live in, we bought from a gentleman who owned a landscaping company. And it was foreclosed on because he lost everything, because he didn't have the proper licensing and permits for his business. One of his employees did something, he was sued, and he lost literally everything.
He lost his house.
He lost his house. The barn in back of the house was filled with all of their possessions, and they watched as it was auctioned off to pay his debts. Yeah. So he had no business insurance. He was not an LLC. If that doesn't scare you, it scared me. I mean, this was long before I opened a business. But let's talk about some of the things like that your customers might consider. To me, even if in Virginia, and Kristin can account for this as well, the inspectors don't come frequently. Let's be honest. I've been inspected twice. But the fact that you're willing and open to that, and that you've agreed to be inspected whenever they want to come, says to me that you have a level of professionalism and you know, a concern for cleanliness and the proper procedures for sanitation that goes beyond someone who never has to worry about someone walking into their house. Your clients are going to appreciate that. Secondly, businesses, most venues, it require you to hold insurance. And they require you to be either licensed, or in my case in the county, I don't have to be, or at least properly inspected and permitted to bring a cake to their place of business. Because they become liable then if something goes wrong. Also, you're going to learn a lot in the process of becoming legal. You're going to learn a lot about proper sanitation. You know, I'm a really, really, really clean person, but I didn't know the parts per million that you needed to reach for bleach in your sanitizing water or any other chemical sanitizer to properly disinfect surfaces or your pots and pans and utensils. So that's always helpful. And so, and like I said, most venues will not let you in unless they have your certificate of insurance, or you can produce proof of your insurance. I personally hold $1 million in liability insurance with a $2 million aggregate. I have 7 children. I am not going to, and I'm an LLC on top of that. I'm not going to jeopardize the safety of my, the well-being of my family and our assets because someone wants to claim that they've gotten ill from my cake, or, it wasn't the cake they ordered, or what have you. Now, I've never had that happen, but I am completely and totally prepared if it does. So, I don't know. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add about their thoughts on it, but I personally would not have a business. I would not sell cake without being completely legal.
Not only are you putting your family at risk, you're putting possibly somebody else's family at risk. When you start taking on orders with people, especially you don't know, I mean, I get orders from people, oh, I saw you on Facebook, oh, I saw you on Instagram, I want a cake. I'm like, cool. You do not know if somebody there has got an allergy to something or whatever, and they then get sick, and then they got to, their medical bills are skyrocketing, they need some money, and they're going to come sue you. Mm-hmm. And you're not prepared. What are you going to do?
That's actually one of the reasons that I prefer not to share cake space, if you will, at a venue. If someone, if they want a groom's cake, I prefer they get it from me as well, because if you've got my cake and then Aunt Martha brought a cake, and Aunt Martha has 15 cats and she has no idea how to sanitize anything, and people get ill, they're going to look at me because I have insurance. Aunt Martha doesn't have insurance. They're gonna come and look at me because I'm the business. And so you have to think about things like that as well. Again, it's a business. If somebody says, oh, but I need to save money, so we want this small cake, but I'm just going to make the cupcake so that we can save a little money on that. I just don't know what your process is, and I feel uncomfortable thinking, if somebody says, oh, well, who made your wedding cake? And you say La Bella Torta, and they go, well, that groom's cake was a hot mess, and it was disgusting. I don't want my name on that, but that's who they're going to think of. So anyway, so also, go ahead.
Well, I just want to move on because we are getting long, and there's 2 other points that we want to do. So bottom line, everyone, is, again, if you're moving from taking money and earning some sort of income, you're now called a business, you need to be legal, period, point blank. Don't do it if you're not. Figure it out. Jay can help direct you. He's got, you have a private consult that they'll help you. So if you don't know how, any one of us on the panel will be happy to do a private consult with you and help set you on your way. So we're going to move on to Jamie Hoffman and establishing policies. And Jamie, I want you to address one question that was asked of us live.
Okay.
From Candace Lennon, and she says,
Candace,
did any of you feel like you needed to have a niche before starting your business? And I think it kind of plays into establishing policies and sort of the policies and for your business, the plan for your business.
Well, I'll tell you what. I did not do, how to say this the right way, I guess character cakes. Okay, I never offered those character cakes, that Mickey Mouse one you see all the time with the feet and the ears, or, all the way down to, all right, basically anything that looks even remotely possible that it came from a grocery store. I don't know how else to say that. I always kind of focused on being a little more artsy. I take the term custom cake very literally, and personally for me, there's nothing custom about putting characters on stuff. I know that's probably not everybody's opinion about that, but I always went through.
Niche. That's your niche, though.
Right.
you
Right.
review?
I focus on, flowers and painting and bringing things that are personal to the client into it. I really take the term custom quite literally. So I don't know if that's my niche or not. I guess it could be. But I definitely try to personalize everything and stay away from anything that looks like it came from anywhere else, I guess. Is that?
Well, or you can just be a really good Mickey Mouse cake person. Whatever you're good at.
I suppose. Yeah, sure.
Like,
sure.
You do that and make money. If you can do that and sell and make a living, then do that. That's if you want to make sheet cakes, make sheet cakes.
Right, exactly.
Do you and make sure you're pricing and making money. So
look at Corey cakes.
Can you move on to establishing policies?
Yes. Okay. So policies, there's a few that I want to address. I'm not going to get into everything. And the first thing, and I'm going to go ahead and screen share because there's a website that I want to take everybody to real quick. I'm sure everybody's heard about it, and it's Cake Boss, the software, not the guy on TV. If people have not ever been to the Cake Boss site, it's the one that has the software that a lot of us talk about for the pricing and all of that. But there's also this really good template for the order form. I use a version of this for every order, not just wedding. Did everybody see this, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. Also, it's free. Also, you can download it right here and make all the changes you want to it. And there's lots of good stuff on here. I have removed things, I have added things, but basically the nuts and bolts of it are all still there. However, when I get down to the terms and conditions, we're going to go back to the disclaimer at the beginning of the broadcast that anything in here, these terms and conditions and anything that gets into legalities, you really need to have an attorney look those over and make sure that they apply to the rules and regulations in your area. Some of this stuff may not apply, some of it may be completely off base for your area. There may be things that you need to add, but either way, you need to establish an order form, and I suggest using it for every single cake. I don't do anything simple. I do holiday cakes about 3 times a year that are a custom or that a pre-planned design. I don't do that for those, but for these, for anything else, I use an order form, and that is for wedding cakes and celebration cakes. There's absolutely no difference between any of them when it comes to what I do. The other thing that I want to address is retainers and what constitutes an order when somebody contacts you. Just contacting you and sending a message, hey, I need a cake for next Saturday. That's not an order. That's not an order at all. An order is when you guys have discussed what they want, when the budget's been established, and you have either met in person or they have paid you a retainer. And I try to get away from using the word deposit, and if I do, excuse me, it should be retainer. Again, getting back to the legal stuff, check with your attorney. So what I do is, if somebody wants to place an order with me, I'm going to require a retainer of at least half of the total amount. And when I see people online all the time talking about, hey, somebody up and canceled their cake on me, and it always makes me wonder, well, how did they do that? How did they just cancel your cake? They either didn't pay the retainer or it was too small. $20 for a retainer. I can walk away from $20. I can walk away from $30. I will walk away from that $20 or $30 that I paid the cake decorator if I'm going to get it a whole lot cheaper somewhere else. Might not like this language, but I'm going to use it anyways. You need to use a retainer in an amount that will hurt to walk away from. It needs to hurt them.
Right.
Yes.
Amen.
That's right. And this is not said in a mean way or a, dang the customer. Most people that know me know I am super, super good with my clients, and I do not try to act like
Jay.
I'm the queen and doing them a favor. Okay, they're the customer, and I love them, and I treat them with respect. However, if we want to be consistent and have good clients and keep them, then we need to have policies like that. And
Amy, I call it industry standard. Industry
standard, yes. Yeah. So, let's say this cake is $200. They need to be able to come up with at least half of that right now. And if they can't, that's kind of showing you what may go on, later on in the order too.
Red flag. Red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, I do not take payments on anything that's going to be $200 or less. That's paid in full right then. They're booked, and their cake is going to get made. And nobody's going to cancel on that. They're not going to walk away from a $100 retainer. $20, $30, they can. I've never had it happen.
I have.
I believe it, yeah.
But if they do walk away from it, you're not. I mean, I can make a cake. I've got your money. Whether you want to pick it up or not, that's on you.
Well, and what is if you do your due diligence and follow through with your contract, and it states that 50% retainer, and they decide to go walk away from you, and then they inevitably will go, and that's only happened a few times in 20 years, but they'll inevitably say, well, I want my deposit back. And what I say to them is, you know what? I didn't cancel my contract. You canceled your contract with me.
Yeah.
And that's why you have these policies.
And the policy, and it goes a little further, Jamie, what you were saying, like, it's not arbitrary. It's not arbitrary. That retainer, what that does is paying for my time now. It's paying for the ingredients for them to taste.
Yeah, I was going to get into that.
Yeah, executing their contract. People don't think. The customers don't even fathom that there's more into this than me having cake and tea with you.
Let's go back to Jamie to finish up her thoughts about policies.
And that's the other part, what Jay was saying. And also the order form. I try to stress to people that this protects the decorator as much as it protects the client. I try to stress that that's important for the client's peace of mind as well. I'm promising to do certain things. They're promising to do certain things. At the end, the end result is going to be a beautiful cake that hopefully they're going to love. And if I don't have these policies, such as these hefty retainers, then I'm just sitting here promising this person a cake over here and over here just because they just asked me for it. And then who's actually making the payments? And who's actually booking their date. And when we take orders without retainers, and then say that person cancels a couple days before, well, what about the people that asked after that? And you said, no, I'm booked. You've lost income possibly in 2 or 3 places now because you don't have the policy in effect like that. And it all starts with that retainer that a person will not walk away from. It just really comes down to that. This
happens mostly, I think, with these custom celebration cakes and special occasion cakes. You've already bought all the goods and ingredients and booked your staff to come in and bake, and that's why I have a minimum of $500. I'm not touching a cake for less than $500.
Oh yeah, Jamie, you were talking about that too. You have on your website, and I just put it on mine as well. A minimum. You're not taking an order for less than a certain amount.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. When custom cake, if you aren't a big operation already, if you're not already an established brick and mortar, I really do not see any reason for anybody to be making cakes that are less than $150, $200.
And that goes back to pricing, Jamie. Don't you? That price that you put on that minimum. Like, we know that we can't put a wedding cake out or a special occasion birthday cake out for less than 100 servings at $6 a serving. That was driven because I did that cost accounting to know what I had to put out my front door on a per unit basis. It wasn't an arbitrary cost. It was because Jamie did her homework to find out what the minimum was it was going to take to be able to break even and then pay labor or to get a paycheck. Because that way you know that you are sustaining yourself in business on a daily basis. Like, being aware of that is what drives you to make good business decisions. It's not arbitrary.
And it all goes back to doing the work. Okay, we are actually at an hour, and I don't want to end. I know. Okay, just to sum up policies. You can go take a look at my page. I know Jamie has it on hers. I have it on mine. I'm pretty sure everybody has it. There are policies. You can look at my policies, sifbykara.com. You can read them through, get an idea. Again, if you guys need any help, all of us are available for private consultations. Just reach out, and we'll let you know our pricing.
One more thing real quick, Kara. I swear I'll make it quick. Yeah, real quick, because I noticed in our little comments here, when weddings get canceled. This is a big deal. That has to be non-refundable.
And non-transferable.
And yeah.
I mean, if you're feeling nice, which I'm rarely feeling very nice, I might consider transferring it to a date to your next husband that you're going to pick in 3 months.
Oh.
Snap. It's happening. No, I'm not.
You guys, I had someone cancel on me, and she actually just paid me the retainer, signed the contract. I had someone cancel me like 3 weeks before the wedding.
Yeah.
And she ripped me a new one for not being a good business person and not giving her back her retainer. And I'm like, and I found myself trying to communicate to her why I wasn't good. And then and my good friend Jennifer England said to me, cut it out. Did she sign the contract? She signed the contract. That's all you need to know, bye, sweetie. That's all you need to know.
It's not us being mean.
Can I end with this little philosophy with that? About to all of you guys out there, this written business communication was my major. And let me tell you the best thing that's going to serve you well long term. This is really valuable advice. If you have a conflictual encounter with a client, I don't care if it's for a birthday cake, I don't care what it's for, especially if it's in writing. The best thing you can do is to not respond for about 12 to 24 hours and really think about it. The second best thing you can do is if you can't respond in less than 10 words or less, do not respond at all. Because the less you say, the more protected you are. And all you can do sometimes is say, how can I make you happy at this point? I mean, because it doesn't matter if Jesus himself made her cake, she is not going to be happy. She'd say, take off those shoes and cut your hair. Okay? So a fish that don't open his mouth doesn't get caught. So the less you say, the better served you are from a legal standpoint. Not just legal, but just to save face. Just don't say anything.
Okay, I have to stop you, Jay. We have one more question, and Shannon, poor Shannon, you're so quiet. Thank you. We got Shannon come next. Okay, hold on, Shannon. I hope everybody can go 5 more minutes.
Yes.
And we'll end today. Myrna, I hope I'm saying your name right. She asked, I have a question about policies. How can I manage policies when most of my orders are made via emails? I rarely see my customers before delivery. You can send them your invoice. Cake Boss has a way for you to invoice them via email. You can also put in the same, contact a lawyer. However, I have put in the invoice sent to the customer, your payment in full acknowledges your understanding and agreement to the terms of this invoice/contract. If it's a really big order, then I will have them sign it and mail it to me, especially if they get it, do it a couple weeks in advance where they can send me the check. I will have them mail it to me, or they have to fax it to me. So you have to determine, you have to determine your policies, but definitely you can get it signed. They can email it. They can take a photo of it and send it to you. Get that signature and have proof. And again, but check with your lawyer, obviously. But there are ways to figure that out.
If it's a wedding cake, and make sure you put that same premise holds true to not just the payment, but the retainer. If you pay the retainer, you're acknowledging and agreeing to the terms and conditions of this order, okay? Because that retainer says, okay, I'm okay with this estimate. And by the way, I use QuickBooks, and you can use QuickBooks as estimates and then invoices. And that you can email electronically, they can pay online, all those things too. I just thought I'd throw it in there too.
Yes, we have to move on. We have 5. Literally, we're going over 10 minutes, so 5 minutes. And Shannon,
just go ahead and take 30 minutes,
You've been so quiet. But Shannon is going to end today talking about keeping a professional tone on social media.
Well, I think just to build on what Jay was saying, don't rant on your business page, whether it's about customers or other cakers or whatever. Keep it off of your business page. Keep it professional. Keep it positive. Use punctuation when you write things out on your business page. This is the first impression you are making to a lot of people, and other businesses who might want to work with you, not just individuals, but businesses, corporations, magazines, those kinds of things. This is the first impression that they are going to get of your work. And if they're trying to pick through what you're saying because there's no capital letters or punctuation or anything, it's really going to be hard for them to say, ooh, maybe this person wants to be a contributor to our publication. And so really keep that in the back of your mind. And also, I wanted to address just a little thing with the policy thing. Customers shouldn't dictate your policies, but your policies will determine your customers that you're going to be getting. And if you have good policies in place, those customers are going to respect you and they're going to treat you like a professional. But if you don't have policies in place and people know that they can walk all over you, they're not going to treat you like a professional. They're going to try and treat you like a buddy who's going to help them out, and that's not a good business practice.
Awesome, Shannon.
It's my 2 cents on that.
Do you have anything to add to professionalism, social media, or anything that we have talked about so far?
I do, real quick. Always, always, always treat that customer respectful. There's just so much customer bashing and insulting going on the chat rooms and stuff. We are not gods and goddesses come down from the heavens to make cakes for people. They're our customers and we're providing a service.
I am.
I do not want. Oh, well, maybe Jay, yeah.
Speak for yourself, sister.
But in the end, we're still a service provider.
We are.
And we need to be the classiest, easiest to work with.
And the most expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're charging premium for your cake, you need to have premium service that comes along with it.
If you're charging premium, you're getting premium.
Oh my God, that's perfect, Jamie. If you can't afford custom, don't buy custom.
Yeah, too.
Because you can't afford BMW, when you walk in there, they're not going to tell you, oh, okay, we'll reduce our price for you. No, they're going to send you down the street. Like, and I'm selling BMWs, sister. I am not selling whatever off the car lot down on Hood
There's
Street.
no Ford Fiesta coming from Jay.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
And hopefully they're being nice when they send you down the street, too, though.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah. Oh, I love. Thank you for coming into my shop. But I'm sorry,
That's
I'm not the baker for you. And it's okay to say that, is my point.
Yes.
You can deliver bad, hard news without being a bitch. I mean, you can. I don't. I usually am a bitch when I do it because, you know, it's like, I'm just over it and don't care.
But can I touch on that, like the niche thing? If you are a step above Walmart and you're making a profit, then that's your niche, and I'll send my customers to you that don't want to pay my minimum.
Exactly.
But
no.
Don't undercut what you're doing. If you're making cakes like hello, Shannon and Kristen and Jennifer and Jay and myself and Jamie, please don't charge $50. I know how much time I put into that. I know what kind of quality ingredients I put into that, and there is no way $50 would even cover the board. So please don't. But if you are, I make literally box mix cakes and I use canned frosting, and my ingredients cost $5 because I get it at Walmart, and I spend 3 hours and I'm paying myself minimum wage. That's still a $50 cake.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 25. It's not.
Says this in the marketing. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're making money.
Ooh.
Amen.
You're busy for a reason, probably because your work and your cakes are beautiful and delicious, and they have a price on them. You need to know who you are. You need to do what you know and know what you do, and you need to know your market. And if you do all those things and you do your cost accounting and you do the work, like what Kara was saying, You do the work. Get off your lazy asses and do the work. If you're going to be a businesswoman or a businessman or an entrepreneur, that is the hardest job ever. Ever. And I'm sick of battling it, okay? I'm sick of it. And get out of the way or compete with us and cover your boards.
Yes, your board. Amen.
Guys, I've got a couple of responses of people saying they would love us to do a part 2. So I think we all need to do that. We do have to end today.
We're going to have a sequel?
Why not? Are you down?
Hey, girl.
I'm in.
I think we need to have a daily sitcom show on here.
Okay, I'm down for that. So we're gonna end today, but before we end today, I do want to plug our good friend Minette Rushing over at SavannahCustomCakes.com, SavannahCustomCakes.com, Minette Rushing. On Monday, April 6th, she is hosting a live business webinar, Business Policy Rules You Can Succeed By. It is a working seminar for up to 9 students. The cost is, I think she said around $50, but you don't have to check her site for that. But you will get in a room just like you see us all here on your screen. You will be one of the people, one of the boxes, one of the faces, and you will be talking with Minette and going over how to put your business policies together. $50, people. Hello. You need to get that one. Monday, April 6th. It's also a webinar working seminar that she can do again and again. So if you don't get in this time, email her and ask her. Jay also does consulting. I think you said you were offering something to people watching. Willow Tree Consulting. You offer private consults.
Yes,
as well?
I was gonna offer a special to the folks that are involved here in this chat. A $75 for 1 hour consultation to discuss whatever it is topic that you want to discuss. I'll give you my advice, my opinion mostly, based on my experience. And I think we're actually going to produce a webinar as well on. I have 2 books coming eventually. I'm working on. One is tips. One is tips and tricks, and one is a workbook for the new business owner. And so if anybody wants to do anything like that, I'm happy.
He wants the book. So go to his site, willowtreeconsulting.net, everyone, and reach out to Jay for more information. Shannon, you're awesome for sitting there and being so quiet. Next time, you're going to start the show, and you're going to tell us more about
guys, thank you for including me in this panel. It's my first time to ever do that, and I really appreciate it, and I can totally I love you, Jamie. I can totally Jamie, that is, I know that's for me. I know it is, because I'm not that classy. But
no.
I really, really appreciate you guys including me, and thank you to the audience for the crazy support on the videos. 40,000 people last week. I'm like,
We love your video, Jay.
well, there's more to come.
Go over to Jay's Facebook page and check him out, guys, and follow him on his car chats or car church or.
Yeah, I'll be in Lafayette this weekend, and we've got cake preaching happening from 4 to 5 on Saturday at Lafayette Cake Fest. So I heard something about a choir coming. I really did. I swear I'll die if ladies show up in robes behind me. I will just absolutely die. But
okay. Yeah,
I love you all.
I have to stop you. I have to go take my daughter to school. I have to go be mommy now. Shannon, thank you so much. Shannon Bond Cake Design in Olathe, Kansas. Thank you. Kristin Kirkpatrick, Back Row Cakes. Oh, she's got great tools. I'm not going to say it because I don't know if she's ready. But she's got great bench scraper. Go check her site out. Jennifer England, La Bella Torta, thank you so much. I love you, my Jennifer. I love you. Thank you for being here. Jay, we love you, Jay.
I love y'all very much. It's so nice. Thank you for the compliment.
Jamie from Yuma Couture Cakes, thank you for being with here. You guys, we're going to do this again.
Heck yeah.
But maybe we should just stick with one topic next time. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm Kara with Sip by Kara, and Tune in next time. Happy caking and do the work. Do the work. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.